I need to know, I need to know, yeah. Is it programming, social media, or a secret to uncover? So educating, so wise, informative and bright eyes. What's the evaluating game? Revelation is the aim.
I need to know, I need to know, I need to know. You need to know, you need to know, you need to know. We all need to know. What do you need to know? What do I need to know? What do we all need to know? Many people thought that the book of Matthew 27 verse 5 and the book of Acts of Apostles chapter 1 verse 18, they contradict each other. Many assume, many thought, many think that they contradict each other. But let's assume, let's carefully examine them one after the other, systematically, hermeneutically, and biblically. The book of Matthew chapter 27 verse 5 says, and he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hung himself. This place is talking about Judas, how he returned the money, how they used the money to buy a piece of land. But Matthew 27 says, and he, Judas, cast the money, the piece of silver, in the temple and departed because they refused to collect the money from him. But the book of Acts of Apostles chapter 1 verse 8 says, now this man purchased, that is, now Judas purchased a field with the reward of iniquity, and failing headlong, he busted asunder in the midst, and all his bowels gushed out. That is, this places the man, that is Judas, bought the money, bought a piece of land with the money. And then the other verse says, he casted the money down and they used it to buy a piece of land. So they thought it contradicts each other. No, it did not. It's just the way both of them narrated the story. So let's look at it one after the other. Matthew, the book of Matthew 18, Matthew 27 verse 5. Matthew 27 verse 5 says, written, this one is written with a Jewish audience. Don't forget, Matthew is writing his own to Jewish audience in mind, focusing on Judas' betrayal, remorse, and self-destruction. But the book of Acts of Apostles is written for a broader audience, highlighting the consequences of Judas' betrayal in relation to the early church and God's judgment. So you see, it's a one narrative, but how both of them go about it is the different. So Matthew 27 verse 3 to 10, Judas returns the money, the priest rejected it, and Judas hangs himself. The money later used to buy the potter's field, where the potter's field is where they will bury people. So likewise, the book of Acts of Apostles, chapter 1, verse 15 to 20, talks about Peter explaining Judas' faith, Judas' faith, and how it fulfills scripture, leading to the appointment of Matthias. So let us reconcile the two Bible verses together. That is sequences of events, that is harmony view. You have to know the harmony view, the sequences of events. Judas hanged himself. Matthew says so. Later, either the rope, after hanging, you will be there. Maybe later the rope got broken, or the branch of the tree got broken. His body decayed and fell, causing his body to busted and open. That's what the book of Acts of Apostles was saying. It's not saying that he used the money to buy the land and hang himself. No, after hanging himself, after dropping the money, he went away to hang himself. After hanging himself, he was there, and the body got decayed, and maybe the rope got spoiled, and he busted. So both accounts describe different aspects of the same strategy, different aspects of same tragic event. They are, when you are seeing something, the way others will be seeing it is different, but it's different narratives, but they are saying the same thing. The purchase of the land, the purchase of the land. Judas did not literally buy the field. Judas did not literally buy the field. He threw the money back at them. The priest used the money. Judas returned to purchase the potter's field, according to the book of Matthew 27:27. In the book of Acts, it is said Judas purchased it because it was his money that funded the transaction, and idiomatic ways of saying the field was acquired by means of him. If you send somebody to buy a land for you, they will not say that person is the one that bought the land. They will say you are the one, even though you are not there. So the money that Judas threw back at them, they used it to buy the money. That's why they said Judas bought the land. So in the act, it is said Judas purchased. It is not that Judas was the one that did the transaction, but his own money was the one they used to do the transaction. So Matthew emphasized Judas' guilt. Matthew emphasizes Judas' guilt, remorse, and act of suicide. If Judas repented, if he did not committed suicide, who knows, maybe he'll be born again. Are you sure? But we'll see that one later. Act of Apostle emphasize God's judgment and the dishonorable end of Judas. Together they present a fuller picture. What is the significance? The wages of sin. Judas' greed, silver, and betrayal brought destruction. According to the book of Romans, chapter 6, verse 23. Divine justice. There was divine justice. What Judas thought he gained ended in shame and loss. What he thought he gained, at the end, it became shame and loss of it. Contrast with Peter. Both failed Jesus. But Peter repented and was restored, while Judas despaired without turning back to Christ. To say, you have turned back, that, oh, I'm sorry, or pray for me. What is the common misinterpretation of these two verses? Matthew 27, verse 5, and the book of Acts of Apostles, chapter 18, verse 1. Claim the common misinterpretation of this place is that a claim of a contradiction. That, oh, they contradict each other. One text says Judas hanged himself, while others says he fell. In reality, both can be true if taken together as a sequence. It's just that you are removing it. You have to put it as a sequence. You just say, when I got home, I sat down. And when somebody wants to narrate the story, when you got home, you open the door. So you see some people say, when you got home, you sat down. When you got home, you open the door. It's on sequence. Before you can sit down, you have to open the door. So that's why before the book of Acts chapter 1 verse 18 says he busted and all his intestine, all his bowel came out. First of all, he hanged himself. He got to decay before all those things have to. It's just on sequence. So Luke that wrote the book of Acts was, let's say he jumped where he hanged himself. But Peter did not explain that his bowel was exposed. So both of them are correct. Field ownership confusion. They are also field ownership confusion. Judas didn't personally buy the field. The priest did with his money. The money that they paid to him, by the time he saw Jesus, they have arrested him. He didn't disappear. He didn't call angels. So he went back to throw the money back at them. So the money, they now use it that, this money cannot be inside the treasury. We need to use it to buy a potter's land where we are going to be burying people. So therefore, it is Judas' money because he already fulfilled his own part and he was being paid for that job that he has done. So therefore, Judas didn't use his money, didn't use that money personally to buy the field. The priest did with his money, attribute the purchase to him that indirectly because it was the reward of his iniquity. Matthew 27 verse 5 and the Act of Apostle 1:18 describe the same tragedy, even events from different perspectives. Judas hanged himself and afterward his body fell and busted open. the priest used his betrayal money to buy the field, which Acts describes as Judas purchased because it was through his sin that the field came into his possession, far from condition that the two accounts complement each other. God bless you. I think you have gained one or two things. You can put your comment down. God bless you as you do so. Shalom, shalom, and shalom.